Ilia Topuria, for some reason, is chasing. He wants that BMF for some reason.
In reality, it should be Ilia's, bro.
Да.
Пытается быть кем-то. Сразу же видно. Ну вот тебе вопрос. Не, я не думаю.
Conor McGregor didn't hold back recently, reigniting his long-standing rivalry with Khabib Nurmagomedov after Khabib made a sharp comment comparing him to UFC's latest rising star, Ilia Topuria.
And a psychologist or psychiatrist measures these people, they will say they have mental issues. I'm telling you, you have to have mental issues to want to go through the pain. Khabib against Conor.
Even though it's been years since they last fought, the tension between them still hasn't gone away. This time it all started when Khabib made a small comment about UFC's rising star, Ilia Topuria, and McGregor didn't like it one bit. In a recent interview, Khabib was asked if Topuria could be the next Conor McGregor. Khabib replied by saying Topuria was a good guy, and basically said you can't compare him to Conor.
Вместо Конора Илья Topuria может быть?
Не, он хороший парень.
Да.
Пытается быть кем-то. Сразу же видно. Ну вот тебе вопрос. Не, я не думаю.
That one little line was enough to light a fire. McGregor quickly jumped on social media and took a verbal jab at Khabib in a tweet that he later deleted, but not before people saw it and started talking. He wrote, "Fighting's biggest bitch yapping out of his fat hole again, cough cough. It's been almost 7 years since their crazy fight at UFC 229, but clearly the bad blood is still there. That night, Khabib beat McGregor and then jumped over the cage to go after McGregor's teammate, which caused a huge scene. Despite the fact that it's still the biggest selling fight in UFC history, this incident never gets old for their rivalry."
No, and he's going right at Dylan Dennis. Mayhem. Oh no. Total chaos here. It looks like UFC security has...
Since then, Khabib retired with an undefeated record and has been focused on coaching. McGregor, on the other hand, had a rougher path, dealing with losses, injuries, and long breaks from fighting. Still, the feud between the two hasn't cooled off, and this latest exchange proves it.
I guarantee you, if you take the greatest of all time of any sport and a psychologist or psychiatrist measures these people, they will say they have mental issues. I'm telling you, you have to have mental issues to want to go through the pain. Khabib against Conor. You disrespected my religion, what I believe in. You said, what about my family? I take words seriously. You could do this promotional stuff. I don't look at it that way.
He jumped out of the cage.
He jumped out of the cage. His people jumped in there. He held his neck longer talking to him.
Yeah.
You ever seen it at the end? If you ever watch it.
They have a mic version of it now.
They're saying, let go. He's not letting go. And then he's talking to him still. Who the hell does that?
The whole thing started because of Ilia Topuria, who's been making a lot of noise in the UFC lately. He became the lightweight champion after knocking out Charles Oliveira at UFC 317, and fans are loving his confidence and knockout power. Some even say,
without Conor McGregor, Khabib doesn't go to the moon. You need that guy. And I think Ilia Topuria and Islam might be that for each other. So while you may not like each other, you may need each other to go to the next level. So I appreciate Conor for helping Khabib achieve the life that he has today. Right after Conor McGregor, he was a global superstar.
It even brought religion in there. Islam, like the religion was inspired, man.
By Khabib.
By Khabib. Like,
because they needed him to go take care of this bad guy that was attacking everything that they stand for. If you know Khabib, he's really committed to his religion. He went and did away with the bad guy that was attacking the Muslim community.
He reminds them of a young McGregor. Topuria is now a 2-division champ, which is something only a few fighters have done, including Conor. While Daniel Cormier thinks Ilia represents the potential of pulling out a persona of Conor's level, Khabib does not think this way. At the same time, Ilia has his eyes on BMF, which many believe is the right way for him to achieve the title.
Ilia Topuria, for some reason, is chasing. He wants that BMF for some reason.
In reality, it should be Ilia's, bro. That BMF should always be up. It should always be up.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I should have had that, Joe.
Yeah, so he's not wrong, bro. He's not wrong for thinking that.
For us as champions, we know having a title is great because of the financial compensation that comes with it.
While all the drama with Conor was blowing up online, Khabib has come up with something much more serious, helping coach Islam Makhachev for his next big fight. Islam is moving up to the welterweight division, 170 pounds, to face Jack Della Maddalena, and it's a huge challenge. Khabib said that Maddalena might be the toughest opponent Islam has ever faced. That's a big statement considering Islam has already beaten top fighters like Poirier, Oliveira, and Volkanovski, but Khabib says Maddalena's size, strength, and striking are on another level.
Мы так не считаем.
И вот почему-то все, я слышу, что говорят, Ислам явно фаворит. Ну, как будто Мадалена, вот...
Не, мы так не считаем. Я так не считаю. Я считаю, что Мадалена самый сложный соперник в ислама карьере. Это мое мнение. Ни Чарльз, никто. Ни один из этих бойцов...
И даже не Илья, если бы это бой был бы.
Ну, мое личное мнение, во-первых, Мадалена 2 раза больше, чем Илья.
He also pointed out that Madalena is great at scrambling and grappling, which makes him very dangerous. If he had to choose between fighting Topuria or Madalena, Khabib said Madalena is the one he'd worry about more.
Сопоставим.
Илья. Он 2 раза больше. Он выше, больше, ноги помощнее, корпус, бокс не хуже. И грэпплинг он возится очень хорошо, если вы смотрели. Ну, для меня, если я, например, буду готовить Ислама против Илья или Мадалены, для меня больше будет волновать и волнует Мадалена, намного больше.
If Islam gets past Madalena and becomes a double champ, there are already some big names being talked about for future fights. Khabib mentioned guys like Ian Machado Gary, Shavkat Rakhmonov, and even former champ Kamaru Usman as possible matchups. Usman in particular would be a huge fight. He has a huge experience at welterweight and would be a big test if he decides to come back.
Никто не понимает, да.
Есть Гарри, есть Шавкат, есть Камару.
A lot of fans still hope Khabib will return to fighting, even if just for a grappling match. Khabib says promoters have reached out with offers, but none of them had real plans. They just wanted his name. He's not interested. As far as he's concerned, his retirement is final. Now he's fully focused on coaching and helping fighters like Islam reach the top.
Тебе предлагали за большие деньги, даже не в ММА, а куда-то вернуться на какую-то спортивную дисциплину.
Ну...
Я просто знаю, что периодически...
Грэпплинг предлагают постоянно. Постоянно грэпплинг предлагают.
А ты не хочешь?
Вообще, в принципе, соревнования...
Мне кажется, ты бы собрал бы прям хорошо, если бы.
Да,
это событие такое было бы классно.
Да. Грэпплинг предлагали.
А с кем, если не секрет?
Не было, соперников не было. Они говорили, если ты дашь...
Согласен.
Там, мы подберем там соперника.
Это вот UFC, БЖЖ у них, по-моему, запустилось.
Я думаю, это
сейчас запустили. Они разные были. В разное время разные.
А ты раздумываешь? Ну, типа,
никогда не думал.
While McGregor and Khabib keep throwing jabs at each other online, the UFC is moving forward with some big fights. UFC boss Dana White just dropped big announcements as summer starts to wind down. Magomed Ankalaev, the UFC light heavyweight champ, is set to defend his title for the first time, and it'll be a rematch against Alex Pereira, the man he took the belt from. The fight will headline UFC 320 on October 4th in Las Vegas. Dana shared the news during a live stream on Instagram this Tuesday.
All right, UFC 320, October 4th, T-Mobile, Las Vegas. The champ, Magomed Ankalaev, defends his belt against Alex Pereira. Ankalaev hasn't lost in 7 years. He has the second longest win streak in the UFC light heavyweight division behind who? John Jones, the GOAT. Let the hate begin. Pereira, former 2-division champ, 10 of his 12 wins have come by knockout, and he has the highest striking accuracy in the light heavyweight division.
At the same time, Dana White also announced that Tom Aspinall, the new heavyweight champ, will defend his title against Cyril Gane at UFC 321 in Abu Dhabi. That's going to be a must-watch fight.
All right, now, UFC 321, October 25th, Etihad Arena in Abu Dhabi. Tom Aspinall will face Cyril Gane. Aspinall has 15 wins, and all of them are by finish. Gane is the #1 ranked heavyweight.
Reacting to this news, Michael Bisping has shared his excitement for the matchup. He emphasized that Cyril Gane is the perfectly suitable opponent for Tom Aspinall, noting that in many ways of athleticism, they both have similarities. At the same time, he has gone to raise serious concerns for Gane, highlighting that he does not have a good grappling skill, something Bisping viewed as the backlash in Gane's fight against John Jones, and is expressing the same this time. In his view, not having good grappling would cause Gane a serious problem this time around with Tom Aspinall too.
But Cyril Gane is the same as Tom Aspinall in terms of athletic ability. When I say that Tom Aspinall is a heavyweight George St. Pierre, that kind of goes to Cyril Gane as well. The man's gigantic, he's very quick, he's agile, he's light on his feet. He could run any sport on the planet. And he's almost like George St. Pierre and Tom Aspinall in the fact that he's got all those athletic attributes and qualities, but he doesn't have the grappling. That's what cost him against John Jones, and that's probably what's going to cost him against Tom Aspinall. You never know, he could clip him. This is a dangerous fight. This is heavyweight MMA, but Tom Aspinall can grapple. We've seen him take people down. He's done jiu-jitsu since he was about 15 years old. His dad is going to be on his case, and that's an absolute fact, saying, hey, you're not messing with this guy.
Pereira, who recently showed he's bulked up to over 240 pounds since their last fight at UFC 313, will now need to go through another serious weight cut to make the 205-pound limit. Because of his size, there's been talk about him moving up to heavyweight and maybe fighting names like John Jones or Tom Aspinall. But for now, those big heavyweight matchups are on hold as Pereira focuses on getting his title back. And Michael Bisping has also shared his insights on this matchup.
And this fight card is shaping up to be ridiculous. Now, there's 2 big title fights on there and 3 fights were announced. We'll get to those in a minute. A lot of pressure on Alex Pereira coming into this one. And you know, after he lost the fight to Magomed Ankalaev last time out, there wasn't much volume. There wasn't much wrestling either. If anything, Magomed Ankalaev beat him on the feet. It was just a hesitant, tentative performance from Pereira, and I understand that. I've been in there with wrestlers myself, and you think that when you throw, they're going to shoot, and then the guy doesn't shoot, he starts throwing punches, he beats you at your own game, and he kind of makes a dick out of you, right? I've been there. I know what it feels like, and yes, Magomed, even though he's from Dagestan, isn't a Khabib-level wrestler, or is that Makhachev or something like that, but he does have wrestling in his back pocket.
Cyril Gane is getting another chance at UFC Gold, and this time it's against Tom Aspinall. Gane hasn't stepped into the octagon since his close and somewhat controversial win over Alexander Volkov at UFC 310. Now he's getting his 3rd shot at becoming the undisputed UFC heavyweight champion. Gane came up short in his past 2 title fights, one against Francis Ngannou and another against John Jones. Before those losses, he held the interim heavyweight belt after stopping Derek Lewis at UFC 265. Over the years, he's also picked up solid wins over big names like Tai Tuivasa, Jairzinho Rozenstruik, and Junior Dos Santos.
Probably, and it would generate the most interest internationally. Cyril is in all these Netflix movies now. He's outside of Tom, he's probably the most well-known heavyweight in the UFC right now, because he's fought John Jones, he's held the interim title, he's fought Francis Ngannou. It's just by proxy of fighting the big names. He's also like a good-looking dude. He's walks runway at UFC Paris Fashion Week. In terms of who I wanted him to fight, he'd probably be 2nd or 3rd. I really wanted him to fight Jailton Almeida, but I get it. Cyril's the bigger name. At least Jailton is on the card fighting Alexander Volkov. In case anything happens, I'm sure he would be the one to step up. Wouldn't have hated the Volkov fight either. I know a lot of people, including some people at the UFC, think Volkov beat Cyril Gane in their last fight, but Tom kind of ran through Volkov already. So
Aspinall had his eyes on a super fight with John Jones after Jones beat Stipe Miocic at UFC 309. But despite months of hype, online trash talk, and behind-the-scenes talks, that fight never came together. Jones eventually backed out and was stripped of the heavyweight title, leaving Aspinall ready to step in and lead the next chapter of the heavyweight division. Interestingly, while the announcement of Tom Aspinall fight with Cyril Gane has been officially made, it was something that many in MMA were sensing already. Henry Cejudo is amongst those who earlier gave out Cyril Gane in suggestion for Tom Aspinall next fight. In his view, this matchup is equally compatible in all terms.
It's simple. You give them the one contender, Cyril Gane. Cyril Gane is somebody that's a big heavyweight, that's very agile. I don't think Tom Aspinall gets rid of him right away like he has with other people.
So even though McGregor and Khabib aren't fighting anymore, their rivalry still grabs attention. Every once in a while, one of them says something that brings all the old drama back into the spotlight. Whether they're in the cage or not, their names still carry weight in the fight game, and fans just can't get enough of it. With the new fight announcements in the loop, the UFC is in to have another thrilling retreat. Whatever happens next, one thing is sure. In the world of MMA, there are too many surprises along the way. If you like this video, share it with an MMA fellow and comment your thoughts on how you are looking at all of it. Make sure to subscribe to Ring Rivalry so you do not miss any future updates, interesting breakdown, and exciting news. Until then, stay tuned.